Yeah. I have two monitors, and I'm willing to bet many of you out there do as well. One I use for gaming, and the other I use for basically extra real estate while working. And while I use these different monitors for different things, these two monitors share a lot of the same specifications. They're both 27-inch 1440p monitors. They're both branded as gaming monitors. They both have a max brightness of 350 nits and a contrast ratio of 1,000:1. Where they differ is the Asus ROG Swift PG279Q is an IPS monitor with a staggering refresh rate of 165 Hz and a response time of 4 milliseconds. On the other hand, the BenQ GL2706PQ is a TN panel, and it only runs at 60 Hz, but it has a response time of 1 millisecond. My question is, which of these statistics is better for gaming? Is it better to have a high refresh rate, somewhat lower response time monitor, or a lower refresh rate, higher refresh rate monitor? Now, for the longest time I would have easily said refresh rate, but I'm not too sure anymore. The reason being is that at one point I had to send this Asus monitor back in for RMA to have a dead pixel fixed, and while it was out, I only had a 60 Hz monitor to use. And yes, at first I was like, this is atrocious. I don't know how I ever gamed on a 60 Hz monitor in the past, but then after a few days I started to notice that I didn't really notice the lower refresh rates. Well, I mean, I still noticed it, but it didn't affect me as much. I still seemed to perform just the same in game. So now, because of that, I want to know, does this expensive high refresh rate monitor really make you a better gamer? So before we get going here, let me reiterate or make it known that yes, I know testing something like this is a bit difficult. There's a lot of variables to consider, so I'm going to do my best to produce something that at least shows if it's making me a better gamer, and then you can interpolate that for yourself to figure out if a high refresh rate monitor is something you want to buy, or maybe if you have one, do you think it's actually doing something for you? So let's talk about my testing methodology before we get into all the numbers to find out which one I benefited more from. The game I'm going to be playing is Overwatch, and I'm going to play that game for a few reasons. One, I play that game a lot, almost daily. I at least play it a few times every week, so I'm hoping that will help me be consistent. The character I'm going to be using is Widowmaker, and I'm going to use her because she's my most played character, and then also she has a statistic that I'm interested in. Now, eliminations versus deaths is a bad one to use because Overwatch is pretty generous with what they call an elimination. But Widowmaker has a statistic called scoped accuracy. So essentially, if you don't play Overwatch, that just means that out of every time you scoped in, how many of your shots hit your target. So hopefully using that, based on what monitor I played on, I will be able to tell if I performed better on one versus the other. And I play her quite a bit. I'm not the best Widowmaker in the world, but I'd have to say I'm decent, maybe. I guess you guys can look at all the games played and tell me if I suck or not. Now this is a G-Sync monitor and that one is not, so G-Sync will be turned off during the testing. Only one monitor at a time will be plugged in, so I'll be either playing on this one or that one. I won't be running a double monitor display. Game settings are set at Ultra to ensure that I'm never dropping below 165 FPS on my 1440p monitors. My setup is a 3950X, 64 gigs of RAM, and a 2080 Ti, so I don't have any issues with dropping. I think I can probably pretty much stay consistent above 200 on those settings. And I'll also be playing, so essentially I'm going to play 50 or 100 games, 50 on each monitor, and I'm going to play 10 on 165 Hertz, then I'm going to swap out, play 10, swap out, play 10, and I'm essentially going to stagger them all until I have all 100 games played, and the idea is there I'm going to hopefully stay more consistent than I would if I played all of them on one, then switch to the other. Then I might be getting used to one or the other, or maybe I'll get warmed up and I'll do better on the second half. So that is hopefully going to ward off any of that type of thing happening. So that's the idea there. What else should we mention? I guess one is you're just going to have to trust me on some of this. Now, I could just go into a game and shoot at Torbjorn's turret over and over again and be like, look at all my accuracy. Or I could shoot one person and hide the rest of the map. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to play as I would any other day on Widowmaker, and I'm just going to switch the monitor and just continue to play as I would normally. So I will show you every single game I played, because I played every single one. I'm not lying there, so here they all are. You could stop it. I did play them. It took just as long as you thought it would. At first I was like, well, I'm gonna get pretty good at Widowmaker, and then halfway through I was like, this is taking longer than I thought, and then at the end I was like, if I have to play one more game as Widowmaker, my God. But I did it, they're all done, so now let's run the numbers and find out if either one of these monitors make me better. I didn't expect that to be the case. So I have all the data in from our 100 games of Overwatch, and as you can see here, games, eliminations, death, damage done, scoped accuracy, and then ED, which is essentially KD for Overwatch, so eliminations, deaths. So all that data's in, and you can see at the bottom here, for the 165 Hertz ROG Swift monitor, we had a scoped accuracy average percent of 60.36, and over on the 60 Hertz BenQ, the average scoped percentage, or the average for my scoped accuracy, was 55.12. So first thing I noticed is that I'm bad. I thought it would be better than that. Kind of felt like I was doing better than that, but I guess not. What are you gonna do? But down here we have some graphs to give a better idea. So here we got, again, the 165 Hertz ROG Swifts and the 60 Hertz BenQ, and you can kind of see that, yeah, we're pretty much the same. Down here when the graphs are overlaid, you can kind of see that the high refresh rate monitor does slightly shift to the right, giving me marginable, probably within the percent error, better. So in a nutshell, it really looks like the higher the refresh rate of my monitor doesn't really matter. I'm as good as I am now.
I'm bad.
Regardless if I'm playing at 165 Hertz or 60 Hertz, which is very weird because I will say that in game I felt like I was doing better on the higher refresh rate monitor, but I guess that was just the placebo effect because the numbers don't say that I actually was. But I guess that doesn't essentially mean you shouldn't get a high refresh rate monitor. I personally like the fluid look, the more clean everything looks on a high refresh rate monitor versus a 60. 60 basically looks like, at least to me now that I'm used to a high refresh rate, as everything's almost slow motion. You kind of get like a flickering effect. Whereas at a high 165, everything is just buttery smooth, which I really enjoy. It's a bummer that I actually am not any better on a high refresh rate monitor, but what are you gonna do? At least we know. If you guys have any feedback on my data, leave me down a comment down below. If you guys use a high refresh rate monitor and you are dead set that it makes you better, let me know why down below. And if I'm wrong or if I'm bad, just let me know. But that's quite surprising, to say the least. Until next time.